You know, one of the best things about social media is that it allows us to reach out and find guests that we probably wouldn't have ever found any other way. We've had some of the more fascinating interviews we've done through guests we found on social media. And this is another guest we just found on social media. That's Ms. Hannah Stevens, who recently graduated from the University of Alabama. She's in Huntsville now. She's been doing really well in sports radio, and they've given her own show on Saturdays. And really thankful to have her on here with us now. She's with 97.7 ESPN Radio in Huntsville. Hannah, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing tonight?
Doing great. Thanks so much for being with us. It is really an interesting story. I mean, you're basically fresh out of college, and now you've got your own radio gig. That's pretty cool, huh?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's definitely a blessing from the Lord. I mean, like, you know, when you're in college, and, you know, you look back, and I look back at my time, and, you know, the classes I took, you're always asked, you know, what do you want to do when you graduate and your dream job? And, you know, they never really tell you the steps to get there, you know, like the internships, the low-paying jobs, the working for free after college, you know, and it's just been cool to see, like, how the Lord's got me to where I am today. And, I mean, it's such an honor, especially not only to work for ESPN Radio in Huntsville, but to also have your own show. I mean, it's honestly a dream come true, and I'm so thankful.
But you were a little famous going into this. You were known as the UA Sign Girl. Why don't you tell everybody what that means?
Yes, sir. In college, I was an athlete my freshman year. I was a rower on the rowing team, and I met my best friend, Jackie Trina, who was the national champion softball pitcher. And I would go to their games, and, you know, I was always passionate in high school. I was always a passionate fan. My dad was one of the football coaches, and I painted my body in high school, and, you know, it was very spirited. So going into college, once I met Jackie and started going to their games, I kind of wanted to have that same kind of mentality. So it started with me just making a sign that said Roll Tide. And then that same year, I went to a basketball game, and long story short, ended up getting that's how the A went on my face, and then I just started going to football. And I did it all freshman and sophomore year, and it never went noticed, you know. And then junior year at the Tennessee game, I held a sign that said, Saban will stay for 60 if you stay forever. And Tracy Wolfson took a picture of that sign, and it went viral. And then someone called it the Feinbaum Show, and said, that's like the UA Sign Girl. And so it kind of just blew up, and ever since then, it's just kind of, I guess, how it's been known. So it's just weird. It's weird how it all happened. I mean, looking back, it's really funny now, but it definitely did help the network. I mean, that was the biggest thing I took from it was, you know, I never did it for the fame or the attention, but, you know, once that happened, like, a lot of opportunities arose for me to use that for networking. And so that's one thing I did do is, you know, kind of use that in my favor. But it's really funny looking back. I mean, it's the most random thing that ever happened to me, but I'm really glad it happened.
You know, I always wonder how kids will handle that kind of internet fame, the 15 minutes of fame or what have you. It seems like you embraced it and then really rode the coattails into a little bit more success.
Yeah, I mean, that was my biggest thing, you know, like, because there have been times where, like, even recently, I don't know, it goes through phases, like, you know, it'll go through where, like, no one really talks about it, and then, like, someone picks up a story, like, recently, a few people want to interview me about it, and it's just like, you know, I told my parents, like, I want to stay true to who I am, you know, I never want to be arrogant, I never, like, want to lose sight of who I am, or, you know, I always want to give God glory for it, because I'm not living for me, so it's just things that have happened. I mean, of course I struggle with it sometimes, you know, like when you have people like, you know, you see in public and stuff, it's hard not to, I guess, like get a little big-headed, but it's been cool. I've been trying to, you know, keep my feet grounded, and like I said, it's just been very helpful, and, you know, I know it could all be taken away tomorrow, just like any athlete injury or anything. You know, your career could stop tomorrow, so, I mean, I'm obviously just trying my best to embrace it, use it in my favor, but also, you know, as I'm doing the radio now, I guess it was Monday, yesterday, I changed my Twitter handle to @HannahESPN because of that. You know, I'm trying to not go away from being the UA Sign Girl, but kind of creating a platform, I guess you'd say, you know, kind of more of a professional, because I feel like sometimes as I get older, it's going to look a little weird that, hey, there's this, you know, soon to be, you know, I'm almost 25 now, the girl's still living in her college years. So it's been a cool ride. But at the same time, I'm still in it, but also kind of trying to adjust to new things.
Well, and I think that being the UA Sign Girl it may have endeared you to the fans a little bit more because, I mean, it could be tough. I can only imagine for a female to break into her own sports programming here in the state of Alabama and talk about football and be accepted immediately, as sad as that may sound. But I'm sure it's difficult for you having that background and people knowing how passionate you are about it. It has to help.
Oh, it definitely has. I mean, I think I've had one rude person who ended up being a female. I think she was the only person that's ever said anything like, you don't really know what you're talking about. And I mean, everyone's going to have haters, but it definitely has helped me adjust because, you know, during the football games, and I'd hold up those signs, the majority of the people who understood those signs were males, you know, and so I had their respect in the game for me to come up with witty signs, and they were like, oh, yeah, she did football. So going into this career, you know, really has helped me. And, like, I try to prove myself more and more. Like I said, my dad was a football coach when I was in high school. I grew up knowing everything about football. It's just my mother loves football. Everyone in my family does. So it has helped. And, you know, the only thing that's kind of hurt, I guess, is, you know, when I'm sent to Auburn games, you know, I was sent to Auburn A-Day, and, you know, I'm so scared that someone's going to be like, oh, my gosh, that's you, a fine girl, because, you know, I don't want them to be like, oh, she's going to be biased. But I agree with you. It really has helped me, I guess, adjust better to having people respect and understand me and, you know, just kind of not hate on me for being old, because it is hard being a woman, not only in the sports broadcasting world, but when you want to talk about football, having that respect.
I love the name of your program, by the way. That's what she said. That's good. That's catchy. I like it. Let's talk a little football just for a second here. First of all, you tweeted out a quote from Nick Saban that I guess he said on his Charlotte tour today through SEC Network, and I know he was on ESPN too. But he said, you can love winning or hate losing, and I hate losing. And I think that describes him perfectly. Yeah.
I mean, I do too. And it was just so funny that it came out of his mouth because, you know, Nick Saban's an awesome, like, in-person interview because he answers his question. He answers your question in a way that, like, he totally just goes another direction, you know? Like, you'll be talking about one thing, like when I asked him about, you know, Lane Kiffin, he didn't talk about Lane Kiffin once, but he worded his answer in a way that really makes you think. So they were talking to him about, you know, does your personality, I mean, this is what the question the guy asked, you know, when people ask you all the time, why do you smile? Do you not smile because it's who you are and you've been successful and you would want to change that? Then he went on to say, I mean, I think it really boils down to this question. Do you like winning or do you hate losing? And I hate losing, you know, and he's like, and I go through that mentality, and he's like, I try to instill that in the guy. So I agree with you. I think Nick Saban's, you know, persona is the perfect answer, like quote that forever will, I think, shape and describe Nick Saban because he hates losing. I mean, you can see that year after year in everything he does.
And I think that's one thing he has in common with most Alabama fans. I've said it for a long time, maybe not quite as succinctly as Coach Saban did, but that I think Auburn fans enjoy their winning at the same rate that Alabama fans hate their losing. And that kind of describes the fan bases to me. Really quickly, your thoughts on the Alphonse Taylor situation from this past week? You think he's going to miss any game time?
I don't know. I think it's hard to tell now. I think that, you know, you have to look at the situation. I mean, I know him. I don't know him super well, but, I mean, he seems like a good kid. I mean, good kids mess up, but also at the same time, you know, I look back when I was a kid and my parents disciplined me all the time, and I think it really helped shape who I am today. So I think Nick Saban needs to become stricter on his discipline just because of the fact that, you know, I think players are starting to push the boundaries, not just Alabama, all across the country. You look at the issues that are arising in college athletics, and I think they need to be nipped in the bud earlier, and I think disciplinary actions happening with even smaller circumstances would really help prevent a lot of these issues. So I think he deserves to be suspended. Is he going to? I don't know. You know, the thing about issues like this, we don't have all the information in the beginning, so we always make assumptions. But if, you know, depending on the circumstances, I do think disciplinary action should happen. But, you know, obviously Nick Saban will have that. And I've just learned to trust his process and everything. So I know that he'll do it for the best interest of his players, not only on the field, but, you know, who they become in the future.
Well, Hannah, thanks so much for being with us tonight. Really do appreciate it, and good luck with your program. We'll have you on again soon, okay?
Thank you. I love it. I really appreciate y'all having me on. You have a blessed night.
You too. That was Hannah Stevens from 97.7 ESPN in Huntsville. She has a show called That's What She Said. That's pretty cool.